Homeworthy. I'm Meeghan. Welcome to my home in Radnor, Pennsylvania. Why don't you come on in and I'll show you around.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
I'm Meeghan Mullin. I am a content creator in the fashion and beauty arena. I've been doing it for about a year and a half, although I've been a fashion lover since I was probably 5 years old. I live in the suburbs of Philadelphia on the main line. I live in a home that is about 20 years old. My style for interiors is, I would say, traditional, but with a touch of whimsy, fun. There's always a twist. I think it kind of mirrors my fashion aesthetic as well in that regard. This is my foyer. This is the first area you see when you come into my home. A couple of things I'd love to share with you. This artwork over here is done by my husband. I had seen this montage in Nantucket, or at least something similar, and I loved it. And he said, oh, I can make that. And a few months later he did. And it's because I loved those little conversation hearts that you get at Valentine's Day. I love the pastels, their hearts, just makes me happy. These are old Biedermeier chairs that were in my husband's family forever and ever. And I just recovered them. And then over here, I just have a combination, or a collection rather, of a lot of different chinoiserie pieces. I love the blue and white, and then the pop of pink. I love pink, as you'll see throughout the house. These lampshades make me so happy. They're by a company called Sorella Glen. They're a female-owned. Two moms decided to kind of just go out on their own, and I don't know, I just love them. They make me super happy. I just recently bought this at a thrift store in Bryn Mawr. I had been looking for something round, and you'd think it would be easy to find, but of course it wasn't until I literally saw this outside the store. It wasn't even in the store. They were getting ready for it, and I just thought it would be the perfect spot to kind of put something bright and colorful in the center. I love candles. I always have them going to kind of camouflage the scent of my animals. I'm super cognizant of that, so I think this kind of just suits the space nicely. And then the light fixture here is by Visual Comfort, I believe, and it's classical. It's just a good piece without being too fussy. I don't like anything too fussy. So when we were buying our home, buying this home specifically, my husband and I have very different ideas about things, as you know, couples sometimes do. I wanted an old home with the charm and the moldings and a ton of character, and he was like, all he saw were dollar signs of repairs that, you know, could possibly happen. So when we came upon this home, we just fell in love with all of the millwork and some of the details. The outdoor patio was really special. We love that as well. And we could just kind of envision ourselves being here for a while. Guys, this is the room that you probably recognize the most and see, because I typically film a lot of my OOTDs in here. Not only because I love it, but also because it usually is clean. So that just saves me a lot of work. And speaking of OOTDs, I may as well share with you all what I have on today. These old jeans from Mother. I know, I'm sorry. I should have worn something that you can all buy, but I have found them on Poshmark, which I'll get to later. My sweater is the Oxblood Cashmere from Tuckernuck. Love this. And then my jacket is Goop. Really love this. Probably should have sized up, but I took off the tag, so here we are. And let's see, my bracelet stack is from my mother, my grandmother, my husband, and some Jenny Bird bangles in there as well. And then my necklaces are MB Styles, Cezanne, and Bernard. And that's it. That is it. So the most asked question, believe it or not, is not about my jewelry or my outfit. Most of the time, it is about these leopard chairs. And I know I touched on this earlier, but I may as well say it again because it bears repeating. People ask me where I bought them, how can they get them, etc., etc. I did these about 10 years ago. Found them not on the side of the road, but at like a dilapidated store. They were completely mismatched. If you look underneath, you can see how old the legs are, but it didn't matter because they were the same height, and I had a vision for what I wanted to do, which was this leopard concept, which I know seems a bit out there, but I love it. As I said, they were the same height, so that made things really easy. Just added a skirt, and that's it. And they're in great shape, and they're so super comfortable. My favorite thing to do when I am on like a very good path of living is to get up at 5 a.m. I read that book, The 5 a.m. Club, and it really changed my perspective on things. I'm not implementing any of the strategies or tools right now, so do as I say, not as I do. But when I am in that frame of living, I love to come down here in the morning, say some prayers, sit in front of the fire. Sometimes I even just kind of look at my phone a little bit. It's really just to decompress, get my mind right before the day begins. The other question I get so often is about this guy in the painting. People always want to know, who's the guy? Well, this is an old opera singer. And something you may not know about me is that I was actually a voice major in college, just for a year. But I did grow up singing opera, and I was classically trained. So this is a piece that my husband had before we even got married. The fireplace I painted black almost within 5 minutes of moving in. I just had this vision of wanting to do this for whatever reason, and I don't know, I just love it. It makes a statement. These were sourced from a consignment store called the Velvet Shoestring, as was this table. Oh gosh, there's a specific name for the style. It's from the 1970s. I think it's called like a Mastercraft table. I just love it. I think it blends in perfectly with this room. This is a French-style couch sofa that has been recovered about 3 times, and I think this is what we're sticking with for the time being. It's not very comfortable, but it suits the room. It's a little bit more formal, obviously. These are baccarat vases, and I love the drapes in here, the emerald green. I just love emerald green and the leopard together. I just think that's one of my favorite combos in fashion as well. And just added a little tassel trim, brass hardware up there, which ties into the table as well as the mirror. The pink lamp, I love it. It makes me happy. It's just a pop of color, again with the pink, what can I say? And then also these bookshelves. This was also one of my first projects upon moving in, because do you remember that show? It was on Bravo. It was one of the first decorating shows, I swear. I think it was called like $1 Million Decorators. It was with Mary McDonald, who's amazing, and Martin Bullard, I think that's his last name, yikes. And I remember seeing him color coordinate these books on bookshelves and thinking, I would love to do that one day. And so that's what we did. We collected a ton of books, and yes, we've read most of these. Some of the other ones were just random ones from the basement, but we just color coordinated them, stacked them up, and then placed little trinkets that we had been collecting throughout whoever knows when, where, and tried to match it up, and I like it. At some point, I may want to put some sort of textured wallpaper maybe behind here and cover up the holes, but for now, this is what it is. This piece of artwork here was procured, I believe, down at the beach when we used to have a beach house. There was an antique store down there, and I loved it because it was a beach theme. The rug is from Stark Carpets. I always have a candy dish. That's something else to note, again, with the whimsy and the fun. I just love the colors, and you always need a little sugar kind of going throughout the day. And I'm not supposed to talk food in my mouth, so I'm going to end right here. Bye. Okay guys, I also really love this room. This is our dining room, another pink room. I know my husband is a saint for allowing me to do this. I don't really know how I've gotten away with it, but I have. And I love this because this is where we gather for special occasions. And Thanksgiving I host here every year with my family. We do birthdays, and it's a great spot to be, especially because you can see the fire. And the pink really casts a beautiful light upon everyone when the lights are down, the candles are lit. It's really pretty. One of the other reasons why this is my favorite room is because I love these windows. Every friend I've had who's a decorator tells me to put drapes on them, and I refuse because I just love the way they look. Recently, I added these plates. These are rose medallion. The dogs were roughhousing, as they do, recently, and knocked this one off the wall. Of course, yesterday, figures, right before you guys are coming, so we glued it back together, and that is that, so that works out. These two ginormous pieces of art are from Janine McGuire. My friend Erin, who I always talk about, who has incredible taste. This is her mother. She is an awesome, awesome painter, and the scale of these really suited the room. These lamps are Mary McDonald for visual comfort, I believe. And the sideboard I also bought at the Velvet Shoestring, giving them a lot of shout outs, in Wayne. Again, it's a consignment store, secondhand. Never, ever be afraid to go check out these consignment stores because they are a treasure trove of possibilities. And also, it's nice to have a unique piece that is something not everybody else has. So I love that. And then this here is just an old china closet. I think my husband had it before we were even together. I always say I'm going to replace it and still have yet to do that, but it does house all of our wedding china and our crystal, and these are all of the things that I use to do the table when we have guests. This is a really fabulous still life. I don't know too much else about that other than I'm always amazed when I stare at it how you could get the spoon so perfect. This is just, usually has a flower or an orchid in it, doesn't today. I love to collect old vintage champagne buckets and then not only use them for champagne, but flowers as well. So I would say I don't do as much entertaining as I would like, especially in this room. Every time we eat in here, my husband and I say, why don't we eat in here more often? Or why don't we have more dinner parties? So it's always on our list, but when we do entertain in here, it just feels like everything. It's warm, it's inviting. You just feel like you're home. And that's always the feeling I want to have. Something you may not know about me is I am not above a fantastic eBay find, and I'm almost positive that is where I sourced this light fixture from, this chandelier. When we first moved in, I knew I wanted something grand, and this serves the bill, that's for sure. At Christmas time, I'll hang little vintage ornaments from here, and it looks so, so pretty. And again, with the pink walls, when the lights are dimmed and the candles are lit, it just gives like an ethereal glow to everyone's face, which is really fun. I fell into this content creation world, literally I fell into it. My girls were begging and begging for TikTok. I finally acquiesced. However, I had to know what in the heck was going on that Wild Wild West platform. So I decided to kind of get on there. My moniker is not my Instagram handle. And I just was 1000% myself, and I started sharing what I was wearing. I got to put some things to music, and I was just having fun and not caring at all what anybody else thought. And then when it started to gain traction, I thought, well, maybe I will put it over on Instagram. But I was initially kind of scared because I was worried what other people would think, honest to God. And after a while, you just get over it. You realize life is so short. As long as you're being kind, you're not offending anybody, and it's just fun, why not share what you love with everyone? Okay, so in between the dining room and the kitchen is this fun little Butler's pantry, and I wanted to show it to you because I love the wallpaper so much. This is by Meg Braff, and I think she even has it in her Butler's pantry. I saw it in a magazine or something, and it was kind of on my Pinterest board as something I always wanted to use. This is where I make my coffee every morning, where I get my rosé at night, and just keep our glasses there. And I have another fun piece of art from Janine McGuire right there, again with the lavender and the blues together. It's just really pretty. Oh, and then I should also note these gates to keep all the bad boys in and confined were custom done by a local wood maker or contractor. And if you have to have gates, they should at least be pretty. So now I'd love to show you my kitchen, so follow me. So this kitchen was actually a complete gut renovation after we were here for about a year. Everything was brown and black and mustard and a lot of wallpaper, which I love wallpaper, but it just wasn't exactly my style. We took everything down to the studs, repainted the cabinetry, added new hardware, did some marble on the countertops and the backsplash, and it's basically the heart of the home, as most kitchens tend to be. We do homework here, we eat here, we laugh here, we drink here, we play games, we argue, we negotiate, all the things, and I wouldn't have it any other way. So this piece up here, of course, it's pink and green, my favorite, with a little touch of black. I loved this. It's by a local artist. Her name is Maureen Boyd. Love that piece. Over here, this piece, I just was drawn to the colors. I actually found this on Etsy and then just had it framed. And then if you pivot to this back wall, I framed a bunch of artwork that my girls had done when they were little. For example, like this was done by my daughter when she was 2.5. My husband sketched that little Marilyn Monroe. The rest were just done at school or art class. And I can remember each and every moment when they either brought this home or did it at the kitchen table. So I love a memory wall like that. And then again, the touch of fun and whimsy. I've always wanted a bubblegum machine. I think I even had one in my bedroom growing up. It didn't last long, as those sorts of things do in childhood bedrooms. But so when we moved in here, I was determined to get my gumball machine. So another thing that I really love in this kitchen is this light fixture. This light fixture is one from Visual Comfort. I'm not certain that they make it anymore, but they have one that's very similar. But what I love about this is that I swapped out the shades. I was really, when we redid the kitchen, I was really debating about doing 2 pendants like you see nowadays, but I didn't want it to look like everybody else's, so I kept what I had and just worked with the girls from Sorella Glen. They're also the women who did the pink shades in the foyer. And we picked a fabric and we put them on there, and I couldn't love it more because it's different, but still within my aesthetic. Never be afraid to kind of just think outside the box with design, with interiors, with fashion, with anything, and try it. And if it doesn't work, who cares? Who cares? Move on, and you can change it later. And now I'll take you into the breakfast room, which I don't really know why it's called the breakfast room because we always eat breakfast at the island, but at any rate, here we are. I recently refreshed this room. I purchased this rug. I love a Turkish rug. This is from a consignment shop in Wayne, a great store right in town. Put it on top of an Amazon rug just to give it kind of a layered look. I had had this table for a while. It's from Restoration Hardware, as are the chairs. And I just actually swapped out some of the chairs to give it a little bit more dimension. I think I found these, I think Home Goods, but don't quote me on that. I'm not really sure. But I have to say I'm a little bit proud of this little trick that I did because I hadn't had any drapes or window treatments in here at all. I just wanted to keep it open and airy, but I felt like it needed something. So I found these actually on Amazon. Yes, you heard that correctly. And then I picked out this tape trim with the help of my friend Erin. I believe it's Schumacher, but I'd have to double check on that. Had my seamstress just sew it on, and it gives it such an elevated look. And it's an affordable option just to dress up your space. This light fixture I also love. It kind of the brass ties in with the hardware in the kitchen, and it is from a company called Lighting New York. They have an amazing selection of light fixtures. So I love that. And what also is nice about this room is that it gives you a window into the second most used room in our home, which is the family room. So I've never worked really hand in hand with an interior designer. So when other people ask me, how did you do your home, or what's a good place to start, I would say to do something that I did not do. And I kind of wish I had, because going forward, as I was doing other rooms, I was kind of chasing my tail a bit. So to retreat back to what I was saying, if you can pick a color scheme first and foremost, say like 3 colors that you want to kind of weave in throughout your home, I feel like you can get a very cohesive look that way. Even if you don't know what you're doing, if you stick to a color palette initially, I think it just lends a sense of kind of knowing what you are doing, even if you don't. And the last part of this area of the house, really this is the main area where we all live and play and etc., is the family room, the great room. It's a cozy spot. It's bright, it's colorful. I'm not gonna say my husband loves it, but it is what it is. I love it. I love a really comfortable, deep sofa where you can fit a ton of people. We all fight for the corner spot. Just some really comfy pillows, and I literally can't. I don't know who says this more, myself or my daughter. Fun acrylic table. This Louis Vuitton tray was found, oh gosh, where did we get that? My husband bought it for me for a gift. I think it was Valentine's Day when we were dating, or I don't remember, but I always love this. I always say I'm going to change it out, and I never do. But it's fun to kind of play with accessories and whatnot on here for the holidays. These chairs were recently recovered. They have been recovered, I would say, about 3 times now, because the boys, meaning the dogs, love to sit on them, roughhouse in here. It makes me insane in the membrane, if I'm being honest, but that's my life. So my friend Erin helped me pick a fabric that was more favorable for animals and children and dirt, and you can kind of just wipe it on off. And we added this fabulous bullion fringe from Samuel & Sons. Really, really fun little twist to it. Over here, it's just a bow front chest that has seen better days, I'm afraid. It could really use a recovering, but I carried over the theme of the blue and white chinoiserie. And at Christmas, I have a Santa collection that I will stack all different heights, and that's fun. And put a Santa hat on the animals on the walls. And then the artwork over here, this is our favorite piece in the entire house. It's by Fred Wagner. This is the piece that if the house is on fire, we get the kids out, the animals, and then we come back for this. It's one of those moody sorts of paintings that you can really sit here and get lost in. And we keep saying we're going to get some sort of an eyeball light to go down on these pieces, but we haven't done that yet. The most hated chairs in the entire house are these fun floral chairs that I've loved this fabric forever. My grandmother had, it's an old Dorothy Draper print that they brought back. My grandmother had this print in in her house, and then a friend of mine had it as well. I saw it, it reminded me of my grandmother, and I thought, I need to redo it. These chairs are so super comfortable. They're actually from Cherish. They looked quite different, and then I recovered them. We are also huge music people. My girls played the violin for years and years and years, hoping to get them back into it. My other daughter is self-taught on the piano. I used to play the piano. My husband plays the guitar, and music is just a really, really important part of our lives. And then the disgusting crates that hopefully you're not going to show, but that's just life. And a good old Miss Pac-Man machine. It's just fun to play and challenge each other, and I just loved this sort of thing growing up. So again, just a little bit of fun, whimsy, and sometimes it's a conversation piece as well. So these drapes are like a heavy, I think it's like a Dutch silk. They're a silk fabric. Dorothy Draper, I believe. And when I did these, I thought to myself, what did I do? It's quite feminine, as you can see, but here we are. And now I like them. And added these plates recently. I sourced these from an antique store a little further west. And I don't know, I love plates, I love it. Some people think they're old-fashioned, I think they're fun. Pink and green again. I do love some pink and green, what can I say? And the light fixture up top here was an IKEA find, and I just spray painted it gold. We laid out all the pieces flat and just sprayed and sprayed and sprayed, because initially when I bought it, it was white, and I always knew it was not going to remain white. I always knew I would paint it gold, which I did. My fashion style, if I were to describe it, I would say classic, a little elevated, but overall fun. And I think that when you go through my home, you get that sense as well. For example, I combine traditional pieces, wood furniture, but with pops of pink or pastel or fun art. So I just love the juxtaposition of it all. And it just, above all else, I think it just says that I don't take myself too seriously. When I have friends over or family, I want people to feel warm and see that we're just a fun family. Okay, now I'm going to take you upstairs and show you my daughter's bedrooms, because we've recently given them a little refresh because they're in their teenage years now. So come on and I'll show you some of that. Okay, so before we head into my daughter's rooms, I just wanted to take a moment to kind of share this little nook with you. I love this window seat. I didn't make, but somebody else made this cover cushion for it. It overlooks our patio, which we love to spend a lot of time out on. I have these two paintings here, which I had intended to hang, and I will hopefully get to it later on. I'm going to put them on the walls here, I think, but I'm not sure. So, in design, they're never finished. And then this painting, I get a lot of questions about as well. This was an heirloom from my husband's side of the family. This used to reside in our beach home. And then when we decided to part ways, we brought this along with us, and it's just a beautiful piece. All right, so let's go check out over here. Okay, I wanted to share with you now my eldest daughter's bedroom. This is Barrett's room. We recently refreshed this, and I'm really happy with the way it's come along so far. I picked a wallpaper from Meg Braff. I love Meg Braff. I have another paper of hers downstairs. So we did that, and then I matched the drapes, which I'll show you in a minute, to the wallpaper. I picked this photo because it's also in Gossip Girl, which is one of her favorite shows. And so she had seen this and said, oh, wouldn't it be great if we could get a really large version? And so we found that and did that. This is just an IKEA dresser that I switched out the hardware for. Kind of elevates that look as well. This here is just a baby chair, a nursing chair, I think is what they actually call them, from my other daughter's room that I recovered. And then I wanted to add some color also to the walls, and just found these prints actually on Amazon and got some IKEA frames, and I also love the way that looks. Fun. All like kind of a beach theme. And then the drapes, as I mentioned, the fabric matches the wallpaper, and this is Meg Braff, who's an amazing designer and decorator. Oh, this bed actually was mine growing up. It's an antique old wrought iron bed. We keep saying we're going to repaint it, but I kind of like all the chips because it gives it some character. Oh, and these lamps are also Robert Abbey, similar to the pink one downstairs. And then this here, I made with I designed and somebody else made it, let's be clear. Our old painter, Dale, did this when Barrett was a baby, and I just love it. I can't remember what it's called. It's not a diorama, it's not a shadow box, something along those lines. And these are just all really cute little mementos of her, growing up. And then this chair, this chair is what put me over the edge in terms of needle pointing. I stitched this when I was pregnant with my second daughter. As I said, I haven't done too much else following that in the world of needlepoint, but it's really adorable. And I still can picture her little face sitting there with like her juicy cup when she was a toddler, and I love that. And the light fixture is just another great IKEA find right over here. It's just cute and fun, lightweight also. Her desk actually is from a great store in Dallas called Madre Dallas. They're another group of girls who have exceptional taste, and we saw this on the website and ordered it away. Let's see what else. So she kind of uses this as a desk vanity hybrid. Just a fun mirror from Ballard. And I guess what we'll do now is head over to Cricket's room, who is my other daughter. So come on. Okay, now we're in my younger daughter's room. Her name is Maeve Kathleen, although we call her Cricket. It's a long story, it's not that interesting. What I will say is when we started to give this room a refresh, what really precipitated everything was this fabulous fabric here by Megan Adams. I love this so much. The periwinkle with the lavender kind of just really got my creative juices flowing, which is why we added the ceiling color, kind of just brings it together. These pillows here are just from Home Goods and they work as well. This fabric is also Megan Adams, and this here is just like a memory board. It's magnetic. We've had this in this room since she was a baby, and we just put all sorts of photos on here. This desk also kind of is a hybrid between a desk and a vanity. Don't look too close, it's dirty. This is a softball sock because she is a softball player. And also this fabric here from the curtains is Megan Adams. This piece of art is the first piece of art I ever bought. I love it. It's just, why can't we all get along? It's world peace, essentially, and I love that. And that was part of her old nursery, and I just love it. I may paint it going forward, not quite sure yet. My other favorite piece here is this giant Smarties, again with the candy. The conversation hearts, the candy bowl, the Smarties. This was bought at an old like children's store, and it's been in here for a while. I love it. Yeah, it's so cute. And then just same thing on her bureau. I put these disco balls on top of these vases to give it just a fun element, fun little mirror, Hollywood vibes, and a vintage rattan headboard. Perfect little spot for a 13-year-old, if I do say so myself. So home to me is everything. It means family, it means laughter, it means acceptance. Just above all else, a place where you can be yourself. You don't have to put on pretense or airs, and it's above all, it's love and laughter.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.